13 in the NFL, and right now we are talking with Stephen O from EventDataServices.com, who gave us another one of his premium picks last week, which was an easy cover and an awesome pick. It was Tampa Bay plus all the points. They won outright. Stephen O, thanks for being back with us.
Thanks for having me. I still can't believe that game didn't go over, though.
Yeah,
It was two missed field goals and all the red zone.
That right there is the manifestation of variance. That's what variance is. Sometimes you don't get it even if you're on the right side. But I'll tell you what, it's Thanksgiving, and there's not a whole lot that I'm thankful for this thing. In general, I'm pretty pissed off. But I'll tell you one thing I am unbelievably thankful for. It's your premium picks. As soon as you started giving them to us for free 3 weeks ago, you gave us Seattle twice, both of them covered by a mile. Then last week, Tampa Bay, outright winner as a huge underdog. Stephen O, thanks so much. And how are you doing at your website?
Doing great because of the premium picks,
Yeah.
So, around 1 out of every 3 picks, spreads and totals, we have a pretty high confidence on, where it's like around 60% on one side or the other. Usually a good 3.5 to 5 or 6, even 6 point difference between our projected line and the betting line. And those are the ones we've been really doing well on.
All right. Well, thank you so much for the winners each of the past 3 weeks. And this week you've chosen Denver at KC. And kind of an interesting game that you chose as your game that you want to talk about. Is this one of your top picks this week? Can I ask?
It is still a pretty strong pick, but it's not as strong as it was when I first picked it. I mean, and the line's gone from what I see as Denver 3.5 to even 5.5 in some places.
Yeah.
So,
right now,
the more that line moves, our statistical confidence goes down. And then, you hear Loshak Moreno's in a walk-in boot, and the drop-off between him and the Monte Ball is pretty substantial, especially in the turnovers and pass protection. Tom Mahali's hurt, but he'll probably play. So a lot of these factors are going against this, from going a really super confident pick to just it's still a strong pick, though.
Yeah, all right. Well, let me
Denver by 7.
Yeah, let me preview the game, and you can tell us what side you like here. KC, of course, is the line I'm seeing is 4.5 or 5.5. So those are the lines we're going to use. KC plus 4.5 or 5.5. Total is also, there's a lot of market uncertainty here. 48, 48.5, or 49 are all widely available numbers. And yeah, I mean, the issue here, of course, this is a rematch of the game in Denver that Denver won 27-17, but the X factors here are that KC, their strength has always been this year defense, and especially at home. On the road it wasn't quite as strong, but at home they just had that huge defense buoyed by the big crowd noise. But their 2 best pass rushers have big injuries, and I think they're both going to be out. You're telling me that Tampa's going to play, but that's a huge hit for KC. Then again, though, their offense looked a little bit better last week. Peyton Manning had his worst game of the year last week against the Pats. So all things considered, I feel like there's a lot of uncertainty here, which is why I'm a little bit surprised that you took it as your main pick this week with us. But what do you like here?
So I still like Denver because, I see the defensive problems at Kansas City. Obviously, we can time to huge injuries, but also I see a longer trend. While the stats say that KC's defense was good against Buffalo, it was good against Cleveland, 3 or 4 weeks ago, I don't think they were that good. I mean, Jeff Toole is a third stringer, shouldn't even probably be starting in the NFL, and he was moving that ball up and down the field. In the Buffalo game, he just had this bonehead, interception, pick 6 on the goal line, which would just took the air out of the building. But and then I saw Cleveland, Jason Campbell scored 17 in 2 quarters, and probably would have scored another 3 to 7 points in the 4th quarter if not for 2 turnover, a muff punt where Cleveland would have been in good, a field position, and a dropped conversion on a crucial potential first down. So I see, and then Kansas City obviously gave up 27 to Denver, and Denver was way ahead, so they were under pressure trying to run up the score, and also they gave up the 41 or 42 last week. So I see KC's defensive struggle is kind of as a 4-week trend, which is a pretty significant one for a 16-week season or 16-game season. Whereas the Denver offensive stumbles, that was clearly due to the really bad weather, really cold, really windy. So Kansas City, I think the weather forecast for that late game is still going to be above freezing and a 6-mile-per-hour wind. So even with the potential injury to Moreno, I still see Denver as a team that is a 30-plus point per game team. Even if you knock them down a couple points for KC still having a statistically good defense, I still see Denver as a solid 28-point per game team in good weather conditions. And Kansas City, they had that big offensive performance last week, but they're still a 21, 22-point per game team. And I'm going to take the longer track record. They would probably be averaging maybe even under 20, if not for all the defensive scores they've had in the first 10 weeks. So I see Kansas City like Vegas projecting around 22 with Denver at a solid 28 or 29.
All right, well, right now it is 4.5, so that's the line we can definitely give you for the purposes of this video. Thanks so much, Stephen O. from EventDataServices.com, taking Denver minus 4.5. Talk to you again next week.